Yes, last minute. We just got through with a workout here at Scott's Martial Arts. Scott's Martial Arts on the chart here. And with Anthony, last name? Maggard. Anthony Maggard, aka Shredder, apparently.
Yeah, that's everybody calls me so.
Okay, and yeah, just getting back working out again. You run a business town?
Yeah.
Sounds successful.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
We do pretty good.
Okay, the spa
and Maxwell, yeah.
Okay, great. And you do you prefer Jui Jitsu in terms of martial arts? You have more experience, I should say.
I mean, I started grappling when I was like 5, so I would say technically just grappling arts. But yeah, Jui Jitsu. I mean, I'm a black belt. I mean, 13 years of Jui Jitsu primarily. So.
Okay. You have a black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Instructor? You want to?
His name's John Frankel. He's in Korea. He was the first guy to start Jui Jitsu in Korea. He opened the first gym there, I believe. And
okay.
like when you go to Korea, like every gym has like John Frankel. Almost every gym, like the majority of them, probably 90% or more, have John Frankel on the gym.
Okay. That's it. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I hear martial arts, and then Jui Jitsu came from.
It traditionally came from, well, it's arguable, but I mean, it's originally kind of like judo and jiu-jitsu were kind of a thing, and then the Gracies picked it up, and then it's kind of become
synonymous with
Brazilian jiu-jitsu
right.
now, so it's different than Japanese jiu-jitsu, but.
Because I've done about 5 minutes of grappling here 15 years ago. That's my total experience.
Yeah.
And you've done some karate. How much?
I mean, I started doing karate 20 years ago.
Okay. So.
And, I mean, I should have had my black belt like forever ago. You could ask Matt as well. I mean, I used to compete and everything. I spent probably. I mean, I probably did karate very, very focused. Only martial arts I was doing for probably 2 or 3 years, and then I started also doing judo and kickboxing. So did that for probably another 3 years while I was still doing karate. So I probably have a decade of karate experience, realistically. So, but it's broken up.
I hope you were competing as a black belt.
Well, when I was, well, I mean, they used to have like the belt switch. So when I was an orange belt, not a yellow belt, I mean, I was still competing in like the upper belts. Like I was going against like brown and black belts when I was competing back then. So
you were competing earlier in your
yeah. And I mean, I'm technically a red belt.
Okay.
I need to just take a black belt test.
10 years as a black belt.
Yeah. So,
but now you're looking to maybe teach.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I need to teach. It's like you do something for so long, what's the point? And,
right.
You know,
Sure.
if you don't start teaching at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
And doing that here?
Yeah, I'm going to be here 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I believe, is what we decided, from 7 to 8.
Okay.
So.
With grappling.
Yeah.
Any philosophies that you have that might be different from what you see around here?
I think really focusing on good fundamentals is always super important. People especially in jiu-jitsu nowadays, it's become a lot more sport focused. I mean, I like the sport aspect of it. I think it's a lot more inviting for people. You know, I remember when I was younger and I was grappling, like you would go in a gym and like you just had to fight people because people would just go full blast. Like you're just like it's like walking into a pack of dogs and they have to beat you in to be part of the pack kind of thing. But now it's you know, I can walk into a gym anywhere in the world and I have friends like that instantly. First guy I roll with is asking me where I'm from and they want to go out and have dinner that night and hang out and stuff. So, but philosophically, I really try to focus very much on just the fundamentals because they always work. And if you have certain things that you like to do, you can develop that as you go. But I mean, just focus on the things that just biomechanically work, you know. So.
Okay. Anything on your mind that you think our audience might take interest in? Anything to help get people in the door? You're looking for students?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing about martial arts in general that I've learned over the years, I mean, I've done it all my life, you know, pretty much. And I think it just makes you a better person over time. I think anytime you are involved in anything that you invest yourself into and you become better and better at that, it bleeds over to other things. But I think there is something in particular about martial arts, especially grappling in general. If you look at like ancient history, you look at the Bible and stuff, you've got like Jacob wrestling the Lord in the desert, and the Romans wrestled. Like, if you look at animals, every single animal wrestles, you know, every animal, like cats and mice and, you know, even birds and stuff, they tussle and grapple with each other. And I think there's something about developing as a person that's involved in that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? This was
It's so impromptu, yeah.
very last minute. And what am I missing? Cameraman, do you have a question? This is
Do you
Mark,
feel? Yeah,
Stevenson.
I'm Mark. I'm behind the camera. I guess, like, do you feel like you've seen people, like, with their mental health improve with jiu-jitsu?
Big time, yeah. It's very, very funny. I've seen some jiu-jitsu, like grappling in general brings out what's really going on in your heart. Like when you walk in the gym, it's very, very hard. And you can see this in karate too. Like when you spar with somebody, they might be too rigid that day, or they might be more jerky than usual or something. And you kind of know something's off outside of the gym. And by the time they leave, they're like a lot happier and they're not as stressed out and focused. And there's a lot of reasons, there's a lot of science behind it. But even in the long run, I've had people, like I trained with a guy for, I don't know how many years, like 8 years, 10 years maybe. And like we hated each other, but we still got on the mats and we still grappled, and like we get along fine now. There's no issues now. And sometimes you just sort things out over time by, you know, and sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes people are just jerks and it's just is what it is. But my experience has been that I've only seen a handful of people not become better and not develop mentally better. Even like, there's a lot of developmental psychologists and things like that putting kids that have had like brain damage and stuff in jiu-jitsu because it develops neural connections between both hemispheres of the brain. And so they're able to compensate for other things and communicate better. And so it's definitely very, very good for you.
What differences do you see between jiu-jitsu and karate? I did a sport karate presentation last year in Maryland, and I saw the jiu-jitsu presenter come after me, and it looked far more systematized than I'm accustomed to in sport karate for the most part. Like I've seen one excellent presenter that kind of had things more lined up. But do you feel standard? Is that common that jiu-jitsu is more step by step?
I think the thing about jiu-jitsu is a lot of times you are forced to teach things step by step because you have to develop, so the difference between like, let's just say like somebody who's a white belt or a blue belt or even a purple belt and like a black belt is basically they've had more time developing the same techniques and their body mechanics are better. And you can't really like, you know, like you can show a black belt something that's done like a Kimura, like which is like where their arms bent like this and you've got it laced in. But sometimes just learning how the body connects and how to shift your hips properly or how to like where the pressure's at on your body against their body. You can't describe all of those things at the same time and you can't see them. You know, like there's literally just, I can't explain to you, it's like, okay, my chest is on his chest. It's like, no, you need to feel it. And so a lot of times you're like, okay, you're in this position and now I have to teach this thing. And it's not necessarily, it does kind of force you to teach it step by step because you're just going through and being like, okay, this is here. Now you should notice this. And then, because it's just too much information. Karate could be taught the same way in my opinion.
I've wondered if it could be like made more granular so that you could get that.
I definitely think it should be taught that way. I think, well, I don't think karate is necessarily a dying art. I think it's actually the best striking form. And I think if you look traditionally at like MMA, karate has actually been extremely successful when people have used it right. Like Lyoto Machida was very, very good. Conor McGregor was very, very good. Wonder Boy is ridiculously good. And specifically as like a striking art solely, like karate guys destroy people in other fighting arts. Like they almost always win when you see a karate guy against a kickboxer or a karate guy against like even Taekwondo. And I think part of that is they have like very good lateral movement, they have very good distance management, and they're very good at collapsing in on their opponent faster than anyone else. They're more accurate than anybody else. Danny Nisano, I mean, I'm sure you know who Danny Nisano is. Okay,
I
so
will-
when Bruce Lee passed away, Danny Nisano was like his top student. He's the one who took over the whole Jeet Kune Do world. Like he took over everything for Bruce Lee, and he said that, for instance, fencing is the best weapon art for like hand-to-hand combat art. I don't know if he would still claim that now. Something he said before, a long time ago. And the thing is I actually genuinely believe that's true when you look at it, because it's more accurate, it's faster, it has better mobility. And you can still cause tons and tons of damage with it. And karate is fencing without a weapon. The footwork is very, very similar. Like the side kick is like a lunge type attack, things like that. It's across the board very, very similar. So I think striking art wise, it's very, very good. Systematically though, I think the problem is I genuinely think martial arts is simple, right? I think the whole philosophy of an amateur sees tons of possibilities that overwhelm them, and a master sees a few, if not just one. So I think you can basically be like, hey, if you do these steps in this order, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to defend, and you're going to be able to intelligently go through it. So let's practice systematically. Like, you know, I like the idea of if you're taking a striker and putting them like and being like, okay, let's just build a jab. Let's build a back fist and only do that for a period of time. And then now let's start mixing up with the back fist body punch. You're gonna hit almost everybody with a back fist body punch at some point once you develop it good enough. It's super hard to stop. So I think there are fundamentals to karate that are kind of missed out on the sparring side. But I think the systems that are taught in katas and specific stances and things like that are very, very good in karate. And they do that side of it well. They just don't teach systematically the side where it comes to actual engaging with another opponent.
We learned 30 years ago, watch the instructor do that.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't so much, you know, move this way, no, adjust here.
Yeah.
It's watch and mimic.
Yeah, yeah. But I think a good teacher figures out like what's going on in their student's mind and helps get rid of all the distractions and be like, hey, this is where you're at. Like, this is where we need to go, and this is how we're gonna get there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good place to stop. We have a good teacher, I hope, and please come let him tell you how to get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool.